Hi there, welcome to the SoccerCon Esports Talk powered by Ween. This is our first program. We hope you enjoy this great experience we have prepared for you. And we will try to wait for a couple of minutes until the rest of the interested people and visitors can join the conversation. And today we are having a great conversation about soccer and esports with a very interesting guest from Blue United, and we are starting right now. Hello, everyone from different parts of the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and thanks for coming. Well, first of all, let me introduce a little bit what we are doing. This is the first of some conversations and interview series focused on the relationship and business around soccer and esports in general terms. This program is part of the SoccerCon XP project, which is an incredible and awesome event taking place in Las Vegas in 2021 if the pandemic situations goes right in some way. But it is much better if we can receive all this information from people directly from SoccerCon. We have today with us Eduardo Cara from SoccerCon and Javier Sanz, Vice President of Business at Blue United. Javier, Eduardo, hello, how are you? Thanks for your time and thank you for saying your experience with us.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me.
Hello. Let me try to add Eduardo. Hi, Eduardo. How are you?
Hey, really good. Thank you, John, for the introduction, and of course, thank you, Javier, for your time and accept this invitation for the first SoccerCon eSport Talks powered by Ween. And yes, it's exciting to be with you. Thank you. This is the digital brand activation before the big show will be SoccerCon Las Vegas 2021. And yes, we are working to have the eSport involved in the event, because we are thinking it's a very good market, many fans around. SoccerCon is for sure it's an event focused on the fans, and there are many esports fans in the world, and we want to give for sure the option to be involved in the SoccerCon.
Please tell us, Eduardo, a little bit more about the SoccerCon experience you are working on. Why creating this kind of big event? Why Las Vegas? And what are you going to do until the event itself?
Well, mainly the main events are focused for the business. There are many around in the world, in Europe and US, about soccer. And we're thinking the most important is also the business, but also the fans. And the brands and the clubs wants to be where the fans are. Then by now we are working focused on the fans to get the best content. Hopefully the events will be celebrated on September 21 if everything is getting better. And for sure the business is going to have a big chance to be involved with conference and with different conference and different topics. The fans are the most important in the industry, in any industry, is mainly the European and American clubs wants to get, and the US market is really attractive for all the companies, all the soccer, also for the clubs. The soccer is growing up really faster. Have a big potential. Remind the next 2026 is the World Cup in America, US, Canada, Mexico, and we want to guess also this challenge to celebrate the SoccerCon every year in Las Vegas.
That is really incredible. Thank you very much for joining us to this awesome project. We are delighted to be part of the, let's say, the esports area of the event in some way. I know we cannot tackle much more about what we are going to prepare together and so on. Not to tell all the surprises, but please, Eduardo, just to finish, let's say with the SoccerCon part, what's the added value you are bringing to the ecosystem, and why it is important to have these kind of events like SoccerCon XP in the soccer ecosystem and the traditional sport area?
Well, it's the passion. The passion, I mean, the eSport and the sport has a passion, and this is the point that working in the SoccerCon, we are going to give many content to the fans with passion. For eSports fans, regular or normal fans, and we're working on this content. The passion for the soccer, for the eSports, and we're thinking to celebrate eSport Cup involving clubs, federation from the real soccer and also from the eSport. And let's see how we can do that in the SoccerCon to have a big chance to involve the fans.
Okay, that makes sense to me, at least, and we hope to be part of really good experience for people and also for brands, of course.
Yes, sure. Brands, clubs, and right now can't wait to listen the conversation with Javier and you about the eSport, because everyone needs to improve our knowledge about eSport, and it's so exciting to know how Blue United is working on eSport, and for sure you're comment about that.
Yes, and in some way, that's why we are here. Javier, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your time. And we are going to talk today about why you take that steps into the esports ecosystem, considering that you were not exactly let's say, an esports company, right? But first of all, Javier, how were your first steps and your professional evolution until now?
I hope I don't extend myself too much, John. So just let me know, if I'm talking too much. But first of all, thank you very much to you and Eduardo for the invitation. For me and for Blue United, it's a pleasure to be part of the first talk and to be part of this amazing project of SoccerCon at Las Vegas. I think that what you guys are doing is really exciting, and we cannot wait to see the results next year. Me personally, John, you know more about my story, and Eduardo too. I'm born and raised in Madrid. I studied law at Universidad Autónoma de Madrid. Once I graduated, I started working for the Spanish Cycling Federation on the legal team. After a couple of years, I realized I wanted to really get into sports, and I thought that the path of getting into sports law was going to be the ideal scenario for me, because that's where I felt more comfortable. So I studied a program at ISDE, Instituto Superior de Derecho y Economía, in New York, focused in international comparative sports law. After that program, I had the chance to work in Brazil, in France, and come back to Madrid to work in different projects, working with soccer clubs, leagues, agents, and athletes, until 2015, which is when I got an offer to come to the States to work for ISDE as their head of US. My duties here were focused on expanding the market and also creating innovative programs focused on training professionals in the sports field, either on business or on law. And that's how I got connected with Blue United, right? So 2 years ago, I got an offer from them, and they invited me to be part of this amazing project that we're starting or that we're continuing. And I've been part of the company since then. Very excited with what we're doing, and I cannot wait to explain a little bit more in a few minutes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Javier, for the introduction. We are sad because we have to say goodbye to Eduardo because he has to leave, but we will continue from here. Eduardo, thank you very much for your time. See you, and okay, Javier, let's continue. Which was your relationship with esports ecosystem before and after joining, in this case, Blue United?
So before, I think that I played video games growing up, but actually I was very disconnected from the ecosystem for probably the last 10 years. Talking about gaming, right? We do a lot of work for digital marketing and digital communications. So that area we have always been involved in. But myself with the sports, I started getting reconnected with it once I joined Blue United.
Okay, and in this way, what led you join Blue United in terms of your professional career, next steps, and so on? Why it was important for you to join the company?
Well, if you want, maybe I can explain you a little bit what we do.
Sure, absolutely. That was my next question. So perfect. If we can go directly there.
Yeah, because I think that can be I think it can help explain you why I wanted to be part of it. I think that the bottom line was that I was excited by the projects the company was running, and I've always been passionate about creating projects from zero and being able to help companies to expand in different markets, right? And that's one of our main services. So I feel that it was a match made in heaven to be able to work with these guys. And just to give you a quick introduction of what we do for those who are listening that haven't heard about us, we are marketing and communications firm located in New York, Tokyo, and Matsumoto. And our main goal, or the main branch of business we run, is we help companies to expand internationally, either in North America, South America, or Japan. And we have been doing that for 15 years. But as a company, we have been doing that since Blue United was founded in 2015. So just to give you a quick understanding of what we do as a company, we render international advice or international expansion advice for clubs, leagues, and companies. And we do that for organizations that want to expand in Japan, want to expand in North America or South America. And it goes from different services, right? It can be focused on building partnerships, can be focused on digital communications, PR communications, or even monetizing, or helping them to build connections to monetize what that company is doing. That's the first area of expertise. The second one is organization of sport events. We have experience organizing more than 150 international games, working for Major League Soccer, Football Club Barcelona, for Omilla Ardilla, and you are aware of this as well. We also own our own professional tournament, which is called Pacific Ring Cup, and it's our baby. It's one of the properties we try to nurture and grow every year. Focus on helping to build connections between North America, South America, and Asia, which is every single region part of the Pacific Rim. The goal of this tournament is to have teams competing in Hawaii every year to build those bridges of knowledge, connection, and interaction between those organizations from different parts of the world. But also, our goal is to build this property in a way where it can become a top-notch competition in the future. The third part, yeah.
Honestly, it is the Pacific Ring Cup. It's really an incredible competition, both from both perspective, experience perspective and business perspective. I mean, you are competing in Hawaii with international teams, creating really cool experiences. It is really impressive, right? So congratulations to all the team for that.
Thank you very much. I think that definitely the fact that it takes place in Hawaii is something very appealing for the participating teams, because it's a new market for them. It's a way for Japan to get closer to North America. It's a way for North American and South American teams to get closer to Japan, because there's a big Japanese population in Hawaii. And for us, it's a very personal project to bring soccer to Hawaii, because Hawaii doesn't have professional soccer. They don't get to see professional teams playing there all year round. But there are a lot of fans and a lot of love for the game in Hawaii. So for us, it's a way of promoting the image of Hawaii to the world, but also being able to promote soccer and bring professional soccer to Hawaii as well.
Using, I'm sorry, Javier, also using an international language, let's say like soccer, like sports, global sports, which everyone understand the values of this kind of sports. Everyone know how to play, have a specific preferred team or soccer players or whatever. So it is a very good way to connect people and brands also.
100%. I totally agree. I think that what makes the event interesting or especially or unique is the fact that these teams from Japan, teams from MLS, from South America, they don't get the chance to play each other at all, right? So, but it doesn't matter. Once they are on the pitch, they all play the same game with different styles, of course. But as you said, it's a worldwide language. It's a common language, and it's very easy to communicate with a ball and just playing a soccer game.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm not going to cut you anymore.
Cut me anytime you need. I was just getting into the esports area because I think that because of the experience we have helping companies to expand, helping companies to get into new markets, and also the experience we have of organizing in-person events, we thought, let's get into esports. Let's bring this expertise we have as a company, 15 years working in the industry, plenty of projects helping, developing things that nobody has done before. And let's try to do our own project on esports, right? We started in a very small way, in a very humble way. We decided to create the first professional team of FIFA in Japan. The reason for that, this happened 4 years ago. The reason for that was because Japan didn't have any professional teams focused on FIFA yet. We saw the potential, but also we saw the need to invest time and resources on developing this structure. And we decided to grow this property as part of one of our departments, the eSport department. Since then until now, we have been able to grow that department to a point where now we are organizing events for our clients. We are rendering consultancy to build a professional esports team or to build an esports department inside of clubs, leagues, or companies. But the first step was to create a professional esports team. What happened in those 3 years in the esports team? Well, we didn't expect this either, but as you can see here, esports has a potential and has been growing exponentially on a 30 to 60% for the last 5 years. And this growth has been also, we have been able to perceive this growth in the projects we are running on esports. What we do with our esports team was we created our esports team. We started competing and getting the qualifications needed to compete in the international level to a point where now we are the only APAC representative in the FIFA E-Club World Cup. And we have been the only representative for the last 3 years. And our players are the champions of Asia and champions of the Japanese national team.
So you are, Javier, like the first reference in FIFA in APAC, right? In some way.
We didn't expect we will be, but at this point, we are. I think we are. We obviously take this approach in a way, in the same way we approach every single project we work on. We always want to learn more, and we always learn more from our clients to try to adapt what we do to what they need. But yeah, our goal is to continue growing and winning championships and being able to help brands with this.
Yes, and in this way, I think it's very interesting because you are now you can help brands joining the ecosystem from your experience directly on esports, having an esports team, because some of the brands, well, a lot of the brands are asking in some way to me, to other professionals, saying, hey, I would like to have my own team for my brand. how can I do it? Why this is better than, I don't know, sponsoring competitions, for example, sponsoring other teams, to having the ownership of the team. So why it is in this way better having your own team than participating in other ways in the ecosystem, from your perspective and experience?
Well, that's a great question. I think that for us, when we decided to create the team, the main object was to learn and to be able to develop properly, right? And being involved in the sports industry, the easiest way was to create our own team, right? We have been working with teams and helping teams for the last 15 years, so that was a natural step for us. The benefits this has taken is that we have been able to develop and shape this team in a way that is beneficial for brands, because we also work with brands, right? So while we were competing, we're also creating content for brands. We were helping them to connect with a younger audience, which is what most clubs, leagues, and companies are looking for. Obviously, esports is not the only answer, but it's a really good answer to connect with a younger audience. After these are a little bit of the examples we can touch later on case studies and what we're doing for companies. So if you want, John, we can stop sharing the presentation now. But one thing I would say is that during this pandemic, during these last 9 months, we have been facing challenges that a lot of that we weren't expecting would be facing at this point. We had clubs and leagues coming to us saying, we don't have any content, we don't have games, we don't have training, we need to engage with our fans and we don't know what we can do. And we need to create more assets for our sponsors because they have paid for certain assets that we don't know we're going to be able to deliver, so we need to create additional assets for them. So with that, I would say that we have created more content and we have developed in a fastest way our esports department than in a normal situation, but has always been focused to help find solutions for the challenges our clients were presenting to us.
Yes, because this is very, very interesting point, because due to the pandemic situation, a lot of brands, a lot of clubs and teams and the federations and so on had the same problem, saying, hey, now we can do absolutely nothing in terms of physical, let's say, sport. We need to move. We need to do something different in terms of digital or online or whatever. And a lot of brands and sports from traditional sports are coming to esports in some way, trying to bring their partners to esports, but it is not easy. It's not like, hey, I want to do this in esports, let's create a competition, let's do something. It is not easy at all. And now things have changed in some way. And I wanted to ask, what's your perspective from now on? What's going to happen in some way in terms of business development and from your perspective as the owner of an esports team?
Well, I think that the way I see the industry going is obviously it would depend on the brand, it would depend on the organization, but for every sports organization, they should have started already, or they should start as soon as possible to create their own esports ecosystem, right? And this can be in different ways. It can be creating content, right? So you don't even need to have your own team. You can work with influencers or gamers to create content to be able to engage with a younger audience, creating your team and being able to compete with other organizations. But if you are not getting to this business now, you are losing an opportunity to expand even at a higher level in the future. The reality is that when we talk with organizations that are based in just one region or want to become more international, esports allow you to be more global. It allows you to speak, as you mentioned before with soccer. Soccer is a worldwide it's a common language. It's a worldwide language. Everybody can understand soccer by playing soccer. It's the same thing with esports. So why wouldn't you want to connect your brand with a common language that somebody in Japan speaks, somebody in New York speaks, or somebody in Spain speaks?
Absolutely, and in some way, well, I always say the same, Javier. When you think about soccer, for example, you come to your mind Leo Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, I don't know, basketball. You think about LeBron James, and but the point is that how many million of users and people are playing football, soccer in their own grounds, in schools, everywhere. So esports are the same in some way. There's a star system, of course. There are big events, but there are millions of users to reach from brands' perspective and to create experience with and for in this way, also from brands but also from soccer and traditional sports teams, because they have a very incredible audience there, and they need to reach and to generate some kind of engagement with the fans, which are not easy to reach because they consume the content in a different way. They don't usually look at the TV, that kind of thing. So it is not easy as saying, hey, I want to be part of esports, I want to have my own team, I want to participate by sponsoring and so on. So in that way, what would you say to other brands, other companies like you, or other traditional sports teams that want to take that first steps in the ecosystem?
That's a difficult question. I would say that the same thing we usually they usually say to potential clients or clients that are asking us how they can get into this system. What are your goals? Who do you want to tap into? What is the audience you wanna tap into? And how much do you want to get involved? What is your budget, right?
Absolutely.
because with that, we are able to tailor smaller campaigns, more focus in maybe 2 or 3 activations that can be interesting to get your toes in the water, or we can actually set up a strategy where you have content, that content leads into you creating your own team, and that help you obviously to either increase your brand exposure, generate sales, build a connection with a younger audience that you have never built before. It's different. There are different strategies depending on what the goals of the company or the club or the league are. But my approach, and I think you take the same one, is feel free to ask us. Feel free to start a conversation, because I understand it can be painful and difficult to try to learn something that you have never done before. Nobody wants to go through that mental pain of learning something new that you need to also explain internally to get approval from the CEO of the company to get this done. But I think they're going to see that this ecosystem in particular is very flexible. We are very creative. Not only the gamers and influencers are creative, also the companies working in the ecosystem are very creative and are willing to go the extra mile to do something new, right? So I would say that they just need to ask, they need to take the first step of reaching out and learn a little bit more, and obviously after that explain what they want to achieve, and we'll be able to help them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and in some way, this ecosystem was created from fans, and fans are our main objective from all of us. We want to reach them. We want to create content for them. We want to be seen, to be part of their lives. And in this way, which will you say that are the main difference from fans' perspective? Traditional sport teams and esports teams in terms of reach, engagement, and so on?
Yeah, well, for that's a very tricky question, because there are a lot of differences, but at the same time there are no more difference between sports, esports, and other ways of entertainment. For us, sports, esports are different ways of entertainment. We obviously know that over competition is not maybe other esports team, or is not maybe other team or other league. Our competition is also Netflix. Our competition is Amazon Prime. Anything that can engage a customer, have them consuming that product. Even movie theaters. There are different competitors out there. So the goal, the focus we have with esports is how we engage with fans more and at a higher level, right? And this is obviously listening to them, hearing their feedback when we create content, understanding what additional content they would like to see, and trying to be very tailored to what they're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you talk to any, or at least any of the main esports team, they are very clear that they are entertainment companies. They are not, let's say, sport clubs or something similar. They are entertaining people. They want to reach fans to entertain them, to create a specific content for them. In some way, what you are saying. So I think we all of us, we are very aligned in that idea in some way. But talking about the difference and the similarities between traditional sports and esports, how do you think that it will evolve in the relationship in some way will evolve in terms of business, the opportunities, and also how the technology can help here?
Well, in terms of, you mean how sports and esports can be connected?
Yes, in some way. Well, as you know, with the COVID situation, for example, considering that it was impossible, was forbidden, of course, going to the stadiums to watch any kind of match and so on. At least in Spain, La Liga was using some technology from Electronic Arts, if I don't remember badly, to put fans in the stadium in some way. Mm-hmm. So you could see the broadcast and the live match in some way with people, with fans, but digitally placed there. So that's what I mean. How can technology help in some way to making this business grow, and how was going to be the relationship between them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that example you mentioned. I think they were also using the different fans singing different songs as a background noise.
You're right.
For the games, which I thought it was brilliant. I think
that was impossible to think a year ago. I mean, yes. Now it is like, well, why not? But if you told anyone the last year, 2020, it was like, no, this is not going to happen at all. Absolutely.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. I think that this year caught everybody, including myself, by surprise. But I would say that, we have seen these last 8 months has been what probably the next 2 years would have looked like without the pandemic. All the changes mixing esports, technology, and sports are happening right now because we had no choice, right? We needed to implement them now. We couldn't waste more time. So I think that probably what we're going to see in the next 2 or 3 years is this technology being improved, right? We're seeing now that NBA is using VR technology, and it's going to start sending VR technology to fans that buy special tickets to their houses so they can experience what it is to be on front row in a game. We have also seen different VR technology on sponsors on the games to make sure that, first of all, every club could recreate their own home arena in basketball, or here in the MLS. The MLS has done that as well. That they could also promote their sponsors when they were playing the games, right? I think that one thing that has been and is going to develop even more is the watching parties. That way of inviting VIP customers to watch the game, creating special content for them when they watch the game, being at home, right? Instead of being in a VIP suite in a stadium or an arena. So I think those things, probably going to see evolutions of those things that are happening already, or that have started happening this year. but I also think we're going to see more connections between athletes and gamers, more content being created, more tournament where gamers and athletes will be competing at the same time. Because if you realize that if you do that, you are tapping into two different audiences. You are tapping into the fans of traditional sports, and you are tapping into the fans of esports. So it has created really interesting results so far. I can talk about one example of something we did in Japan. We organized an event for Matsumoto Yamaga, which is a J-League team, and we organized and we created an event where athletes of the club, players, were competing against gamers, and fans could watch that competition. And it had a great reception, lot of viewership and engagement with the fan when they didn't have any other content that they were able to use. I think we're going to see this more often, and probably in an scalable model where these competitions can be regional or they can become global.
Yes, and look now, for example, Kun Agüero has his own esports team in some way, because he started competing and streaming when they couldn't play, of course, due to COVID situation, and he started talking to other influencers and so on. And at the end, now he's part of one of the teams of one of the best influencers in Spanish language, which is called Ibai. Everyone knows Ibai now. Has been the best, the award best streamer in the world this year. So it is incredible for us, for Spanish speakers. And now Kun Agüero started from nothing, playing football and later playing FIFA in this way online. Now has his own esports team, which is incredible. So I think it is a very good example in terms of how technology from both traditional sports and esports are mixing together and are interacting together. And it's a very good example on how can this get much bigger in the future, right?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Kun Agüero is a good example. We have seen other players not only in Europe but also in North America who are starting to do that. And I think that the key part or the essential component of creating an asset or a property in esports is to understand what you want to do with it, right? Because with that, it's easier to follow that path and achieve that. If the goal is to have a short-term result, maybe have them do an event and then have the team disappear, I don't think it can be very useful to do that. There has to be a strategy implemented, a long-term strategy implemented, knowing what goals you want to achieve every year. So, I've seen a lot these situations where during the pandemic, people have a lot of free time and they were able to do this. My question would be, how many of them are going to be able to do that once, you go back to games, once you go back to playing, with your international team, once you get into, again, into events and having to go events in person, that's going to be interesting. But definitely, it's really exciting to see all the initiatives organizations are doing. For example, I'm a huge fan of the Burger King FC Stevanage marketing campaign. For those who don't know about that, Burger King decided to sponsor I think it's a fifth division team in England, and they were running promotions on social media, encouraging fans to share highlights and plays with that team and their favorite players. So you could see Neymar, Messi, and Cristiano Ronaldo playing for that team in particular, which plays in 5th division in England, and at the same time promoting the Burger King brand all over the world, right? Great example of how you can do something really fun and exciting with esports. And, we obviously try to do something similar, but at the same time, we always try to learn from those cool initiatives as well.
Yeah, absolutely. A great example, but also from long-term perspective point of view, because you have to plan this for at least for a year. So
Yeah.
it is incredible. Now I think they have launched the women part of the team called Burger Queens.
Mhm.
So everything makes sense in that way, and they are doing a really good example in terms of marketing and so on. Javier, going back to Blue United and what you are doing, and considering the pandemic situation and the idea of being ready for when everything started going back again to the normality in some way, how are you planning and how are you preparing the next steps now from digital to physical, or what are you planning to do for the future?
Well, during these last 6 months, we have been able to organize 4 online events. One of them had an in-person component as well, and we have been able to create content online. And for the future, we're working on more projects focused on that way, either organizing esports events in person, organizing them online, and also generating content for our clients. That's the path we are taking. We want to grow at a higher level, and probably we will do something part of our properties, maybe connecting esports and Pacific Ring Cup. But that's something we are working on hardly internally, and so far I'm not able to disclose anything else about that. I think it's going to be very exciting. I think it's going to be the natural next step for us. But I promise I'll once it is public, I will be able to talk about that with you.
Yes, you have to come here again and tell us about that project. Yeah, sure.
I promise. I think you have been working in this industry for a really long time, and you know what we have been discussing in the past. There is a lot of potential to grow properties and to do something really special and unique in esports. So we are going towards that direction and always trying to think outside of the box.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the most important things when you are approaching the esports ecosystem is thinking out of the box in general terms, because you are used to do whatever you do in the way you do, but you need to adapt. You need to change your mind. Absolutely. You need to go and learn and try to adapt yourself and your strategy to this new ecosystem. You need to understand what's happening, why is that happening, and what can you bring in terms of add value in some way. The way you are doing, the way you are working, so it's absolutely great. But Javier, go.
I was going to say, you know, 2 things that I really, really like about esports myself. One of them is how democratic and equal it is. Meaning, you can have men and men competing, and they both have the same result. They can compete in the same rounds, and women can be men, men can be women. It's very, very democratic and equal, and it's probably one of the few sports where you can say that. And the second part is how good this can be for mental wellness. How much peace, calm, how much good this brings to people when they want to disconnect. Maybe for some people, they practice sports to disconnect. They go on a run. For other people, it's playing 1 hour of video games, and it's amazing the good impact it has on people, right? So those are 2 really positive traits I learned from esports after I started working closely with it.
Absolutely, and in some way, people in general, we are used to compete every single day. I mean, you compete against your colleagues. Let's say in your business, you compete against your friends in different ways. Why not competing in your video game, your favorite video game? You are in fact competing because you have to challenge yourself, to improve yourself, and so on. So in some way, it is the natural grow of competition in our minds. And now, not only for us, I'm a bit older, just only a bit, Javier, but my children, for example, they are going to have a absolutely new war, right? In talking about the digital opportunities and growing opportunities and business and professionality and so on. Talking about esports particularly, so we are creating a really big ecosystem, looking for the sustainability in some way, the profitability. There's a lot of work to do there, but it is important to have companies like you betting and going really strong in the ecosystem, taking the right steps, and in this way helping others to join the ecosystem, also other brands, other people, the companies, teams, and so on. In that way, Javier, I think you brought some examples, right, to show us, and I really want to show them, because I think it's really important when you have a best case, a case study, something that has worked properly. It is important to show, to say, hey, we did this was right, this didn't work at all, don't do this. And it is to share. Absolutely. I'm very happy to have this opportunity, and thanks absolutely for bringing this to us.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to explain this. And if you want, we can. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, John. I'm going to use just a couple of examples, but I think that it can help to see the different angles we have done things. We obviously have way more examples, but I don't wanna bore anybody here. The first case is how we have helped a club to create their online sports tournament and also connected with talent in the esports industry. So in this case, this is the example I've used before, John, where we helped Matsumoto Yamaga to create their online sports tournament. In this tournament, we had athletes, players of the club competing, and we also include gamers and influencers to compete against them. And fans were able to watch and follow the event, comment, and obviously encourage their team and support their team when they were competing. This had a strong reception by the fans, and we're working on more events like this for the future. But I think this can be a good example of what we do with companies, right? Or in this case, with soccer clubs. Another example is creating content, right? As you know, the J League have their eSports league. And we have created content with another team in J League, where we were teaching with one of our players. We were teaching the player that was representing this team, Sanfrecce Hiroshima, in the EJ League. We created a series of videos that the club used to promote the club and promote also the EJ League, and the campaign to launch the league that was happening in Japan. I think that was around March, April this year. Another example about esports events, also with a physical part or with a physical component. We were hired by NTT, which is one of the biggest communication companies in Japan, to organize their an esports event focused on announcing the fact that they built the first esports arena in Japan. And in this case, we make sure that we organize the competition, we run the marketing, PR and communications, and secure the talent to organize this event. But also, since it had a physical component, players were playing in different locations in Japan.
Javier, is there any difference? I mean, from fans' perspective, on organizing these kind of events, for example, in Japan or in the US. I mean, there are different kind of approach from fans to this kind of events, or how is the reply in general terms?
What do you mean by that, John? Do you mean like are they welcoming this type of events?
Yes. Okay. Yes, absolutely. That's what my question. Well, I know that they welcome this kind of events, but for example, I know that in the US, some kind of events are more successful in some way because people is used to take part on different kind of online competition and these kind of things. And for example, in Japan, I'm not so familiar with FIFA tournaments particularly. So I wanted to ask, how is the reply, the welcome from people's perspective?
Mm-hmm. The reply has been very positive so far, especially because we always try the approach to engage with gamers and talent that is already being followed by fans. So that's also a component that can bring fans directly to the event in particular. And so far with the event we have organized, we have received really good feedback. Obviously, as I mentioned, we have organized 4 events in the last 6 months. Maybe it's a small pool to get a real number, but so far the welcoming and the feedback we have received has been really, really positive.
Okay.
And another example I wanted to use is consultancy and creation of professional teams, right? So this example in particular is with the University of Tsukuba in Japan. I don't know if you're aware of that, but college sports or athletics in Japan are in between what college athletics are in the US and what it is in Europe. Meaning, it's not as amateur as it is in Europe, but it's not as professional as it is in the US, where once athletes play 1 year or 2 years, they go to the NFL or to the NBA. So in that sense, we are helping Tsukuba University to develop their own and to create their own esports department inside of college athletics, and to do it in the best way, to make it sustainable and to make it last a long time. And obviously, the last example I can use is helping brands, right? So, for example, one of our main sponsors is Under Armour, and we have been working with them for the last 3 years related with esports. And they obviously, as you know, they are a sports brand. They are very connected with certain sports like basketball, sponsoring Curry, or with NFL athletes sponsoring Cam Newton. But they also want to get into esports, and especially in Japan with Under Armour Japan. So we are collaborating on that area, helping them to tap into that audience that maybe doesn't follow basketball, doesn't follow baseball, but follows esports.
Okay, great example. So you are in some way, I don't know how to say it in English, but doing everything right in different areas, right? Helping brands, helping people, helping influencers, and helping everyone, universities also. I think this is something that from cultural perspective for the next years is going to be easier to see this kind of events, because people is going to be more open to participate, more open to join this kind of activations in some way, to be part of the ecosystem in general terms, right? And I hope it goes absolutely right in this case to Blue United and to you. I know we are going to continue talking about this, and as you said, you have to come back here to tell us everything about the success you are going to get for your next project. I don't know if anyone has any question here to ask Javier. If not, you can reach out to him by LinkedIn, Twitter, or any other way. Also, Blue United Corporation, right? You have thanks Javier for sharing the contact. And yeah, I think we have touched all the points, right? All the key points in our conversation. I think you are doing really great job, really great job. And I don't know if you want to share something else with our audience.
I think, well, first of all, you are doing a great job too, John. I think that what you have been doing in esports and the passion you put into growing this business and making brands and companies making them more involved into this. It's amazing. I hope that you continue being successful as well. But what I would just as the last thought I wanted to share, if teams, leagues, or companies haven't thought yet about getting into esports, finding a way of getting into esports, I encourage them to look into that, and I encourage them to make the effort to learn a little bit about that and ask some questions about it, because I think they can be surprised with what they can achieve as a brand and as an organization. And definitely, this is a new source of revenue that is going to be helpful for them in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. 1000% agree. Absolutely. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Javier, for your time, for sharing your experience. Thanks to Take from United also. And well, we have another program, another interview next month. We're going to be here soon. As soon as possible, we'll share all the information with you through our channels, both LinkedIn, YouTube, our social media channels. And I encourage you, as Javier was encouraging people to join the esports ecosystem, we are encouraging you to join us in our next conversation. Thank you very much for being there, and take care.
Thank you.